By 2017, Jesus started showing me that I actually had to put down my Facebook, my YouTube, and the ministry that I was doing. I had already had convictions in the past that there were binding and addicting spirits attacking me concerning preaching and talking online. And I had also noticed it with other brethren as well. You know, the usual symptom of posting a lot of posts and saying you're going to come off Facebook, come off YouTube, and then you're back on, or you're going to take a break for 3 days, you only take a break for 2 days, or you take a break for 3 days, but you spend that entire time thinking about what you can preach and post and stuff. Jesus explained to me all of that was demons. By 2017, I finally received instruction that it was time for me to take a break. He also showed me that very many people online were also getting attacked with these spirits. There's a whole lot of underground things going on when it comes to social media, the technology in this world. There's a whole lot of things that I don't even know if I'm going to even cover on this channel. But it's been made very obvious that there are certain technologies and things in this world that are addicting. Social media is one of them. So I ended up taking down my YouTube. I backed up all my videos, and I kept my Facebook up and running, but I got rid of my page, and I pretty much fasted from those ministries. From then until 2019, coming into this year, I had been doing ministry elsewhere, doing other things that I had never done before that Jesus had me do. And now, as you can tell, Jesus has had me take back up the social media thing. And the way this one's being done is very different. All these videos are being compiled pretty much almost all in one shot, so I don't have to keep going back and forth and so on, and it's a different system. But anyway, the point is, Jesus showed me that these spirits of addiction had been attacking ministers, attacking Christians. Addiction to talking, addiction to speaking, addiction to preaching, addiction to just going on and on. People are addicted to teaching people things, correcting people and things. Lack of self-control in preaching. And he explained to me that there are Christian demons in this world today. There is such thing as Christian demons. There's demons that are addicted to church, demons that are addicted to preaching, as I just mentioned, and all those lists that I just mentioned, preaching, teaching, and talking. And what I found interesting when I pulled back for this time, there's some seasons where I was able to watch and see what was going on online. There's other seasons where I was locked away in complete consecration, which I'm going to mention a little bit more about that in a very little bit on this video. And I noticed that over time, those who didn't heed the call to back up off of social media specifically, their messages became very stale. And I don't mean that the messages were not useful, but the messages were the same as when I left. There's a certain level of growth that did not actually end up happening. And not to say that no one was learning anything, because I do believe Jesus was still pouring out and teaching, but the ability to receive in abundance was hindered. You know that scripture that says, the whole, for precept upon precept and line upon line, there a little and there a little, for with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people? Well, that's what it looks like. And I've heard people quote this scripture before and say, hey, this is a good thing, this is how God teaches. In that season, I found out that that wasn't actually the case. If you continue reading that scripture, it says, to whom he said, this is the resting place. Give rest to the weary, and this is a refreshing. Yet they would not hear. Therefore, the word of the Lord will be to them precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. And they may go, fall backwards, be broken, be snared, and taken. That doesn't sound good. Jesus explained to me that that scripture was talking about those who weren't listening and not going to rest. They're the ones who are receiving precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. What we're supposed to do is rest, and then while we're in rest, we get the fullness. not just a little bit here and there. So anyway, I did obey that command. I pulled out of ministry, and I went into some consecration and had a lot of personal time with Jesus and my family, and I ended up learning a lot about myself, and that's where the detailing of my perfection began, where Jesus started working on me regarding attitudes and other aspects of myself and my identity that I didn't even think I was ever even going to really need to tread upon when I came into following Jesus. Now, this is where I'm going to end this portion of this testimony. I'm going to be doing another series of videos in this playlist. I consider what I've explained so far pretty much year 1 of my testimony, and I have a year 2, which I technically am still in. And year 2 is what I'll be posting on next. With the upcoming testimonies, I will tell you that they're going to focus a lot more on specific subjects that Jesus had me go through. Anger, false Christs, some serious false Christ encounters I had where I had to really learn how to discern who's who. Fear, idolatry, learning about my new identity in Jesus, the culture of heaven, even to the point of learning how to not make mistakes, which I'm still in school learning about, as well as other areas such as fear of correction and doubt. Some subjects got brought back up again. You can consider it like a doubt year 2. Also, one really quick note. At this point in this playlist, you should be good to be able to move on to other playlists now. I've covered enough information that covers a lot of the rest of the subjects on this channel. The videos that I'm going to be doing in this playlist from here on is going to be speaking a lot more about detailing, as I mentioned earlier, about a level of perfection that technically I'm not actually going to be covering in detail in the rest of the channel. However, I'm going to still go through it because of the bold statement I made at the very beginning of my testimony about how I came to cease from sin. So it only makes sense that I go thoroughly through it. But at this point, I've covered more than enough information of what I'm going to be covering on the channel, so you should be free to now venture into the rest of the playlists. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here, and the next video will start off with what I learned while I was in consecration about the spirit of anger.